at home again. This is my sixth TED Talk. The red dot is my home. I love to speak to entrepreneurs. They are the salt of the earth. Unfortunately, 99% of startups fail. And I'm receiving emails now from all over the world from entrepreneurs to say, come and teach us. During my very first speech, I said something about entrepreneurship that caught the imagination of thousands of people around the world. And so I get invitations to speak at university from Stanford, London School of Economics. They invite me, who never studied business, to advise, the Boston consulting groups. I mean, me? What did I say that was so important? Well, what I said in my very first speech 60 months ago, and by the way, that speech 60 months ago has been viewed by 50,000 people every month in 35 languages. What I said was something that really caught the imagination of entrepreneurs. I said that there is no record, no written evidence of a single company in the world being created by one person. At the beginning, in the garage, in the basement, in Silicon Valley, at the beginning, it was always 2, 3, or 4 people working together. And just these 3 minutes in my first presentation have created a storm of interest. Why? It's because they teach entrepreneurs to learn to write a business plan in most schools. And so what they do, they are teaching one person to learn to run a business. And I don't come from business. I come from psychology. And 35 years ago, I was sick of the way we did international aid, where we would arrive uninvited to tell people what to do. So 35 years ago, even more than that, I went to do a PhD looking at what would happen if we would shut up and listen to the individual. What would happen if us, instead of behaving like experts coming down to tell people what to do, what would happen if we would respond to the passionate person and help that person transform talent into a way of feeding herself, feeding his family? What would happen if we would apply humanistic psychology to economics? Humanistic psychology, for those who have studied psychology, is Carl Rogers' Rogerian psychology, where the counselor listened to the client to the point that Carl Rogers would never speak first, because Carl Rogers was too scared to become the savior. So there are some amazing tapes, old cassettes that I remember listening in a library in America, where the first interview, Carl Rogers is quiet, the client is too scared to talk. So it's 45 minutes of silence. You could hear the scraping of the chairs, good afternoon, they sit, they don't talk. 45 minutes later, you can hear the clock ringing. See you next Thursday. Next Thursday, scraping of the chairs, how are you? They sit, and Carl Rogers doesn't say anything until the client, after 15 minutes of silence, the client explodes. I know why you're not talking to me. You are like my father. And Carl Rogers would say, and what about your mom? And the client understood that until she spoke, Carl Roger would not try to break the tension, to fill the emptiness. Carl Roger was respectful. So what I did, when I studied psychology, I said, what if we would listen to the dream of the person respectfully, and then ask, what does it take for you to transform your dream, your talent, into your dream? What do we have to do to make your dream true? So I started to practice. And my professor at university said to me, Ernesto, this is so intriguing. Let's see, what would you do in a community to help entrepreneurs, to help people? And I said, well, first of all, I have to be invited. And so the university was invited, and the university introduced me to the first community. And in the first community, instead of arriving, try to convince people to do things, I wanted to see what would happen if for once in the story of academia, we would respond. And it was this absolutely extraordinary thing where my first client was somebody who had a dream, but the dream was not for personal growth. The dream was to actually feed the family. He had the talent, he had the skill. He was making a fantastic product. He was producing smoked salmon. But he was, selling smoked salmon in a little village. He was not making enough money, didn't have enough money. So I asked him, I said, look, every business to succeed has to make a wonderful product, and your smoked salmon is beautiful, but nobody knows that you have it. Every business to succeed has to have a wonderful product, wonderful marketing, and fantastic financial management. What can you do? And he said, I can only produce it. Do you know anybody who can represent your product in the capital city, 7 hours away? And he said, I don't even have the money to make a telephone call to the capital city. Would you like me to introduce you to somebody to help introducing your salmon to restaurants? Yes, please. But I don't have the money to pay the person. I said, are you prepared to give 10%? Sure. So I introduced this person to somebody who had the passion, the personality, and the contacts in the best restaurants of the capital city. And every single restaurant, when they met the producer with the charm and the skill and the talent and the passion to produce the product, they put an order in. And then I said to my client, are you good with finance? And the guy said, no, finances are the kiss of death. I've gone bankrupt 3 times. I run away from my community. When I go bankrupt, I run away. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm very dangerous to myself and society. I said, would you like me to introduce you to somebody who can help you with the books? So what happens is that I helped this first company, and then he told the story to the community. I helped a group of fishermen, a group of farmers in the community. In 24 months, we had 27 new businesses. And some of these businesses were multi-million-dollar businesses. So the government, I was in Western Australia, the government came to see me to say, what you did in this community is fantastic. Can you do it again? And I said, yeah, well, I'm writing a PhD about this idea of shutting up and listening to entrepreneurs. So, yes. So what happened is that the Western Australian government helped me to, with funding for 36 enterprise facilitators, 1,000 new businesses a year, 1,000 expansions. And every single one of these entrepreneurs, the enterprise facilitators that we created in communities, follow my commonsensical approach to business, which was ask people, what do they love to take care of in the business? Do they love the product, to manufacture these beautiful things, to develop these beautiful new services? Do they love to go and knock at doors and sell it? Do they understand they love the books? and ask them to identify themselves. And once they identify themselves, say to them, do that. Do it beautifully. But you're the boss of your company. Do you know somebody who can do beautifully the other two things? We started to say successful entrepreneurs only do in the company what they love, but they're so smart that they surround themselves with people who do beautifully what the entrepreneur hates to do. It was the most unbelievable success. We have worked, invited in 300 communities worldwide, 60,000 new businesses we have started. And then I was invited to go to the United States, and I live in California with my wife. And when I arrived in California, it was amazing because I thought, well, what I was teaching the rural people in Australia, in Africa, in Latin America, obviously it doesn't work in Silicon Valley, because in Silicon Valley they have geniuses, okay? And the geniuses are there on the cover of Fortune. It's always the face of one person on the cover. And that person, according to magazine, the Fortune magazine, is capable of doing everything. So when I went to the United States, I wanted to meet the geniuses. And I went to Silicon Valley, and I did the research, and I met people who worked with the geniuses. And what I discovered is that what the magazines are writing down is not true. They were not alone. Nobody in Silicon Valley was alone. Steve Jobs without Wozniak would have been nobody. And Bill Gates without Paul Allen was still playing poker at Harvard University. It was Paul to go to Bill Gates who said, they're doing it without us, please help us. So what is happening? What is happening is that entrepreneurs around the world are not taught the truth. The truth is not for you to write a business plan. The truth is for you to form a team that writes a business plan. By yourself, you'll never make it. There is only one organization, one institution that can be compared to business. And when I'm going to tell you what that institution is, you will run out of this room, because that institution is marriage. In marriage, there are two DNAs, the male DNA and the female DNA. They will never understand each other. They have to merge to create a new life. In business, there are three DNAs. The DNA of what we call the Ps, which are the product people, the engineers, the software writers, the manufacturer, the people who invented a new product or the new service. We call them P, product. The DNA of these people is different from the DNA of the M, the marketing and communication people. The product people like the product. They become incredibly attached to their baby. In fact, if you criticize the product at telling them that the baby is ugly, and they don't like you, they will never, there are product people that as soon as you criticize the product, they will never, ever speak to you again. How dare you? The marketing people, they love people. They don't love the product. They go around with the product to say, would you like this? Yes, but only if you make it pink. So they go back to the producer to say, they want a pink. Pink, we work for the army. We will never make it pink. But women have become interested. If we sell a pink, we survive. If we do it another color, we won't. No, it has to be camouflage. So then the financial manager arrives to say, hey, you're going to make it pink, because unless we sell, we go bankrupt. And tells the marketing person, stop discounting it. Because marketing people love the client so much that they discount it. So one loves the product, one loves people, and the other one makes sure that you survive financially. So why do people stay together in a marriage if they are so different? I think it's because they respect each other. Yes, love, but unless your partner becomes your companion, and unless you respect the person enough to be able to say, I don't understand you, but I respect you enough to back off. I respect you enough to listen to your idea. Unless there is respect, the couple doesn't stay together. There are now psychologists that say it's very easy to spot a couple in a restaurant that will not stay together is when they show contempt. In other words, I don't want to be in this restaurant with you. The couple will split. If the fight is fine, fighting is okay. And this is what's happening in the company. Product will never understand marketing. Marketing will never understand finance. The three of them are at each other's throat, and that's healthy. I have found the name of the person who could say no to Edison, to Henry Ford, to Rockefeller. I found the name of the person who could say no to Edison. Who do you have to be to say no to Edison? Well, Batchelor. His name was Batchelor. He could say to Edison, what the hell are you talking about? And we need to have this kind of dynamic in our company. So tomorrow I'm going to visit your hub, the Cluj hub, and guess what I'm going to say? You have to open the hub to the streets because you can invent in a laboratory, but to commercialize, you have to be in the streets. Invention and the main street means innovation. So I want you to be successful. Don't try to do it alone. Understand that if Edison, if Bill Gates, if Steve Jobs could not do it alone, who the hell you think you are?